This is funny you should ask me about clever studies connected to global warming. Last week we did a carbon audit on the farm, which I thought it'll be alright, but thankfully I had a bit of a heads up about the fact that there's a lot of information not included when you do a carbon audit on a farm. Sadly, that information is the carbon that we sequester, so the carbon that farming sucks out of the atmosphere. So our farm releases 579 tons of CO2 emissions equivalent per year. We supposedly offset, so sequester, 31.89 tons. So our overall balance was we cause 547.99 tons of CO2 emissions per year, which sounds really bad, but the biggest carbon sinks that we have on our farm are our grassland and our peatland. Neither of those are included in the figures for what we sequester because we don't have the science doesn't exist to say how much it sequesters, so they just didn't include it. They included our trees, so we have 14 acres of woodland, and they included our hedges. They didn't include the carbon that our sheep suck out of the atmosphere in their fleeces. They didn't include the grassland or peatland, which are our biggest carbon sequesterers. I don't understand how they can have all these figures about how bad farming is for the environment when they don't have the information to back it up. We also have loads of sphagnum moss. I don't know how you pronounce that word, but we have loads of that on the farm. Again, massive sucker-upper of carbon out of the atmosphere. Again, not taken into consideration. So a jumbo jet takes 19,000 litres of fuel just to take off, right? That's on Google. I can't back it up 100%, but that's what Google says. It's probably round about there anyway. That amount of fuel is enough to run our farm for several years. We estimate that it would probably mean that we could produce between 750,000 to 1 million portions of meat. Like, that's a lot of people fed for basically one plane to take off the ground, with some people to go on holiday. They can't even get back home because that would be another whole 19,000 litres of fuel, which would then be basically closer to 2 million portions of meat that we could produce on our farm. The figures that you see about how bad farming is for the environment obviously aren't taking into consideration the amount that we sequester as an industry. The transport industry doesn't really sequester anything. The fuel industry doesn't, but they can buy carbon credits off of us as farmers, and that's allowed because we actually sequester carbon. They just can't prove how much all the time.